These flatworks, Is there ever such a thing as too many water features? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And the answer to that question is no, absolutely not, because we're here to do number 7. Hey everybody, it's Jack from Atlantis Water Gardens. I am back in Lawrence Township, New Jersey for another water feature on this property. We actually did one last year. You can watch that video right here. That pondless waterfall that's way all over past that gazebo. Turned out fantastic. Now we've got an empty spot in the yard, one of the last empty spots in the yard, that we're gonna do another big pondless waterfall. So we've got this blank space back here, which is tucked in between all this greenery. We're gonna build up a 4-foot high retaining wall behind this that's gonna support a big berm, big cascading waterfalls, feeding a stream that goes down and then over to this area here, which has a great vantage point from the sunroom. There's a workout room, we've got kitchen, and we've got that gazebo, which is gonna be definitely a main focal point because the homeowner spends a lot of her time out there doing her work. Now, obviously, she loves water features. But this time she's like, listen, I want something bigger than the other ones that are here. And that's what we're gonna do today. So we've got some monster rocks with us. And I mean monster rocks. This is just some of the stuff we'll be working with. We're gonna put in a 1,000-gallon reservoir to get things started. That's gonna support this about 30-foot long, total of 5 feet of elevation, waterfall stream system. When we get into it, we're gonna talk about how we place those rocks to get the different types of waterfalls that we're after here, and we'll show you what building a stream looks like. So first step is we're going to install our 1,000-gallon reservoir right about here. We got 30 large aqua blocks that are going to comprise this system, a pump vault which is going to feed 2 pumps starting the waterfall right about there. See, the elevation right here is going to be our starting elevation. I see us maybe dropping maybe a foot out of the top and then cascading down a couple rocks, kind of bouncing around, directing a lot of the viewing area over towards where that sitting area is and making sure we got the shot from here at the sunroom. She obviously loves her water features, so being number 7, we have to impress here, but that's what we do. Let's get it rolling.
All right guys, we are all wrapped up here on day 1 of this brand new pondless install. Let me show you what we did today. All right, so we started the day with nothing here. It was still grass. We didn't have any of the dirt over there. This was just plain Jane, all a part of the yard and then blended in. We got our reservoir all dug in. There's 30 large aqua blocks in here. We have our pump vault over there with 1 extension on it. There might be another one thrown on there. It kind of depends, but I think there will be 1 or 2 more on there. We have a couple extra there. We got this thing all dug. We got it lined with sand. We took the level across the whole bottom of it, making sure that it's nice and flat. So that way these aqua blocks on the tops are actually nice and flush and put together very well. But we put down a layer of sand because this soil, it's very clumpy and it does have some sharp edges to it. And there's some rocks in it. The soil's not much like that stuff that's already loosened. It's very hard. So we just put a nice layer of sand over the top of this whole thing, and then we also put sand around it to really lock it in, and that way we don't have any sharp objects pressing up against our liner, so that way we can ensure no leaks, no damage, and it's just a nice peace of mind for us. We have a 20 by 40 liner in here right now, and tomorrow we're gonna start working our way from the reservoir once we get this thing all rocked in and done, and eventually get this machine out of here, and our MT that you can see a little bit of over there. But this is only day one. Tomorrow we're gonna hit the ground running, getting rocks flying into this reservoir first thing in the morning. We have a couple of really cool big ones out there that I can't wait to see what we're gonna do with them. But that's for tomorrow.
Now that our reservoir is in, we can get started on some of the fun stuff. Not that reservoirs aren't fun, it's just building waterfalls and streams is more fun. We're gonna be starting back in there, so we've got to build a retaining wall. We're gonna get to that this morning to build up our whole berm area. But I don't wanna start building my waterfall back there, because what will happen then is I'll cut off access for the machine to get over to the reservoir. So we're gonna start down here. I want to do some layering with some flatter rocks. I don't want a lot of huge boulders in here because it's not going to transition well into the rest of our stream, and we got to make sure that we keep this side of the stream all low rock work so it doesn't block any of the viewpoint looking from the house, the sunroom. So we want to be able to see that stream coming from the waterfall working its way into our reservoir. We're going to come down in here, find some flat rocks that work. One of the things we have to consider is hiding that vault right there, but still keeping it accessible. So I don't want to block that completely, but keep it so that we can at least get it so we're not looking at that thing anymore. And then we'll come in here and probably do some sort of beaching to kind of looking out from the house. We want to have a good visual there, like slope it down so you can see the waterfall, which is probably going to be somewhere in that area there, and then the stream that's going to be behind it. I brought a bunch of flatter rocks with us this morning, stuff that's going to be anywhere from like 4 inches up to like 7 or 8 inches thick. I think that's going to work well down in that reservoir. Let's go pick some rock, start slinging. We got some ideas rolling for this reservoir waterfall. We brought in a lot of these big, thinner slabs. These are probably about like anywhere from 4 to 6 or 7 inches thick. This was actually one rock. It split right there when they took it off of my yard. So I was like, well, let's use that. So we used the bottom section over here, and I don't know if you can see on the camera, but it's sloping to the right. We took the top section because that's thicker over there, which means this was going to be thinner on this side. We dropped it in front. It meets up really nice right there. And again, this sloped back to the left. So we're going to the right, then going to the left. So what I'm picturing the water doing is I'll put some sort of blocker back in here, force the water around. It'll roll down this rock, kind of up on this guy, and in here. It'll also drop off the front as well. So we'll get a lot of action in a very, very minimal amount of space. You're talking about maybe 6 or 7 inches of elevation. It's not huge, but it's gonna look awesome. Now, to make that work from back here at our sunroom, right now, it doesn't work because it's all hidden. You can't even hardly see what's going on there. So that means what I'm gonna do is pick that liner up. I'm gonna carve out the earth here. I'm gonna slope it in so that I can expose the face of that. I wanna see all the way down to that. So that means I'm gonna have to cut from here all the way back, probably to about here, and just slope it in gently. We'll do some cobble work, drop some boulders in here for some framing, and it'll just be like a picture frame leading down into that lower waterfall. Then from there, we can go ahead and take our stream, turn hard right, and kind of meander back through the landscape till we get to the big section of waterfalls. Now, I love waterfalls, but I also love streams. I love when water can kind of carve around like it would in nature. So we're just gonna be carving through this rock over millennia, making it take the shape that it wants it to take. So water is extremely powerful. It's just gonna go ahead and just carve away even at like gigantic ledge rock. And eventually you're gonna get that really cool kind of back and forth. That's what we're aiming for here. These flat rocks are gonna work out perfect in this reservoir so we can keep it nice and low, get our visibility on the backside. I love the way this is going so far. You guys can start to see the vision come to life here. We started with those two rocks. Actually, it was one rock. We split it in half, and now we got this back and forth going on. Now we're starting to flank this. So that rock there was important because we want that water to come around the backside and then feed off of here. Putting that rock there forces that water around the back and sends it right where we want it on the rock. Then we're starting to build out our side. So we're coming in behind this one. I want to keep this kind of low. I could have stuck a big rock in here, but it would have started getting too much elevation behind it too fast. So we're going to build up slowly with some of these flat ones, maybe drop a couple of big guys on the backside, and then transition into what's going to be our big boulder waterfall. So from this point here where the bag is, we got to start coming up in order for it to look right. If I just came in flat and then it boom right out of the ground, it would look kind of contrived, and that's not really going to work for us. This whole side of the reservoir is actually going to get filled in. We're going to drop one rock in right here just to kind of frame out the beach. Then we'll actually bring gravel in just about to the top of this rock. We'll bring in our fabric, and we're going to put soil in here. So this will actually be a small planting space on top of the reservoir itself. And then we're going to be using our stepping stones along the stream to actually transition through here. So this garden is going to come through here. She'll be able to walk along those stepping stones and then out to the other side of the garden. Next step is to finish up this reservoir, and then we move on to those big boulders in the waterfall. Come on back for the next episode. We're going to get that started. Hit that subscribe button. Come on back. See you on the next one.